Picture a room filled with some of the Earth's most precious gemstones: diamonds, opals, emeralds, amethyst, and rubies. Have you ever stopped to think about how these natural treasures are formed? There are three major types of rocks and stones. There are sedimentary stones, which form from various minerals and particles building up in crevices and gaps within rocks, while there are also igneous rocks, which form when lava cools and solidifies. My own personal favorite rocks are called metamorphic, and this is because they go through a process called metamorphism. This process involves one type of rock or mineral being exposed to extreme heat and pressure, which then causes it to take on a new form. Imagine being a plain, old, common mineral, and with a little bit of patience and a whole lot of pressure, you wake up one day and you're one of the most beautiful and precious stones on the planet. People are typically shaped by a series of events and adversities that occur throughout their lives. Through different life experiences, each of us acquires a unique collection of experiences to share with one another. Exposure to different environments at different stages of life and variations in family dynamics give us each individual personalities and character traits. These moments and challenges in our lives may seem hard to overcome and at times even downright catastrophic, but they do not have to have a bad effect. Each difficult moment, each unexpected turn, and each devastating loss can all change who you are for the better and can help each of us find beauty we never expected to uncover. Much like dusty aluminum oxide on a crushing journey to become a gleaming ruby, I spent much of my life enduring high-pressure environments and situations to get to the person I am in this moment. The best person to tell a story is someone who was there, since everyone has a different story, their own feelings, and a unique perception. The best storyteller is someone who has firsthand experienced the narrative, as well as someone who has a complete and raw understanding and ability to share their emotions that were felt along the way. During this presentation, I'll explore crushing weight of childhood, loss of loved ones, and battles with mental health, and pressures of motherhood. From a young age, high-stress situations and pressure began molding me into who I am today. My parents were both on disability for much of my childhood. My father had multiple back surgeries and was permanently disabled in early 2000. My mother worked extremely hard and worked through multiple back surgeries. Unfortunately, her last surgery, it kind of finally landed her on disability, and that was around the time I turned 13. We struggled to pay bills frequently throughout my childhood, and we even came close to homelessness on more than one occasion. Periodically, we lacked food, and what food we did have was often just cheap and unhealthy, your 20-cent ramen, snack cakes, heavily processed foods. We often wore hand-me-downs and thrifted clothes, which was much less acceptable and not exactly trendy back when I was in high school. This and being plus size kind of led to incessant bullying. It caused lasting trauma and self-esteem issues that haunt me to this day. I missed out on a lot of extracurricular activities and opportunities just because my parents couldn't afford it. What I did get to do was often paid for by family members who felt bad for us. I grew up living with a narcissistic father who didn't believe in mental health conditions or treatments. Lack of acknowledgement of mental health issues on his part led to me being left undiagnosed and untreated, which further damaged my mental health. He also was kind of mentally, emotionally, even physically abusive. He called me names like fat, stupid. He would use expletives and he would berate me. I remember him frequently telling me not to smile in my school pictures because my smile was goofy. He'd tell me to stop singing because that was just not good. And around the age of 12, I actually had a protective order taken out against him because of physical violence. My parents fought a lot, the two of them, just because my dad had a short temper. He would often be irritable, lashing out, saying just extremely degrading things to my mother. Was largely unappreciative of anything anyone did. Nothing was really ever good enough. With an understanding of where my childhood kind of brought me, we can fast forward and look at other impactful tragedies, adversities that kind of shaped me. I watched my mom battle breast cancer and then later metastatic breast cancer for years. The first time I found out my mom had cancer, I dropped out of college. My mental health tanked. I felt like I needed to be there for her more than anything else. She spent months going through aggressive chemotherapy. Her medication was this bright red intravenous concoction named the Red Devil because of just how much of a toll it takes on the patients that use it. She'd go through periods of nausea, and then she'd end up having ravenous appetites and bizarre cravings. She was tired all the time and lost every bit of her hair. After chemotherapy, she went through a double mastectomy and then months of radiation. Through all of this, I started to kind of trend towards drinking anytime I found myself with free time, after work on evenings, just kind of as a way to numb myself and run from problems. After months of watching her suffer through treatments, we were ecstatic that she went into remission. Although that remission would end up being pretty short-lived, in just a little over a year, she came down with a cold, and then after weeks of a lingering cough, they did blood work, biopsies, CT scans, and we were told she had stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. In her lungs, there were lesions on her spine and ribs. And something about metastatic breast cancer is that it's not curable. The symptoms can be treated, but it's not something that goes away. You live with it until you don't live with it anymore. We were pretty devastated at that point. My unhealthy relationship with drinking would continue until I had children. My mom did live another 4 years past that second diagnosis. She was able to experience me getting married, the birth of my first child, the first 2 years of my oldest daughter's life, my sister graduating high school, the announcement of my second child. But she passed away July 2019. Her passing kind of prompted me to move to North Carolina. We had high hopes of removing ourselves from negativity and just an environment full of bad influences and lacking of support. We spent the next couple years kind of on autopilot, just trying to survive. I experienced severe postpartum depression and anxiety when I gave birth to my youngest daughter. That was during the start of the pandemic. Eventually, I returned to school with the goal of becoming someone that makes me happy and makes me proud of myself. No amount of luck, or no amount of bad luck, really slows down life when you're a mom. Being a mom is just something that shaped me more than anything else in life. It's been one of my most rewarding titles to hold, but also one of the most difficult and highest stress jobs I've ever had. It is hands down the most pressure I've ever felt, despite coming with lots of mom guilt, though, and a plethora of surprises around every corner. Becoming a parent was the most defining moment in my life. I am 1,000% stronger as a mom. I've birthed children with no epidurals. I've experienced sleepless nights filled with colicky babies, and I have held my children when they cry and felt their pain with them. I have sacrificed my own wants for their wants without thinking twice, and I would go without a million more things if it meant that they had everything they need in life. Motherhood has shaped me into an overall better person, and as a bonus, there is never a dull moment in our lives. My life has been full of moments and experiences that made me want to give up. There were even times when I contemplated ending it all. In retrospect, had I given up in those moments, I wouldn't have accomplished most of what I have, and I would miss out on all of the things I've yet to accomplish. Each of us is a gemstone with a unique and beautiful composition. even if we have to endure undesirable conditions and excessive amounts of pressure to get where we are. What attributes have you acquired throughout your life? What events have shaped you into the person you are today? Has your life been full of sorrows, trials, and high-pressure situations? What gemstone are you based off the things that have formed you? The negatives we face in life don't have to chip away at us. Our darkest, most high-stress moments in life have the power to shape us into something more brilliant and beautiful than we realized we could become. The most painful moments in life can help us become more resilient and more compassionate. Each of us has the potential to grow into something vibrant and special. My hope is that every person can look at themselves and see the incredible gemstone that life has molded them into. Thank you.